And we're back with another Q&A session here where we answer your questions from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and everywhere in between. This week, the question comes in from one of our coaching clients about my story and a blog that I wrote called Return on Investment. And it kind of ties into my story, at least from about 8 years ago as to where I am today. You guys have a story just like I do. I could go back, 20 years and we could go down that path, but we're going to keep it relatively quick. And he wanted to know how I got from where I was 8 years ago to where I am now, because that's probably been the biggest shift in my life. And there's a lot of things that happened previous to that that kind of molded and brought me to this place, but I'll just start there. And this is kind of the blog I wrote, and I'll share it below so you guys can see kind of the context of where this is coming from. But my story in terms of that 8 years ago, I had no job. I had just moved here from Minnesota to Arizona. I've been here for 3 days. And I remember hanging out with my college buddies and I'm like, yeah, man, I'm gonna move to Arizona. It's gonna be great. I had no plan, no money, but I knew it was gonna be awesome. I'm like, I'm gonna meet so many chicks. It's gonna be great. I'm a young dude, I'm stupid. I thought the world was different than it was. And I met my wife 3 days in of living here. So that plan went down in flames, but all for the best. But anyways, I had no job. I had probably $2,500 total when I moved here. I paid rent, so I was down to about $2,000. That's complete. That's life savings, checking, retirement accounts, everything I owned, less than $2,000. I lived with 2 other roommates. I watched about 4 hours of TV a day. I would lift still, so I was in pretty good shape, play basketball, hang out. And I would watch the OC, so like 90210, One Tree Hill, some great shows, just some great stuff. So if you guys want to challenge me on trivia any day of the week, I'm down. But that's how I was spending my time, and I really had no self-direction. I didn't have a lot of self-confidence left because I went from being like the man in college to like struggling to find a job and find my purpose, and I had no real passion, and I just didn't really. I went to like 50 job interviews and I got told no like 45 times. These are like shitty jobs I didn't even want. I won't say the places I went, but like they didn't even want to hire me. I didn't really even want to work there, but I just needed a job because I needed money. And it's a reality check, to go from a place of having confidence and kind of having everything go the right way to having like it not go your way. And so I had no real skills to offer anybody. I didn't really know where I wanted to go or what I wanted to do. And my inner circle of friends was cool, as the people I grew up with, but they really weren't pushing me or lifting me up to kind of go somewhere else. And so today, as I sit here, I own 2 businesses and I own 2 others. I don't watch TV rarely anymore, other than like, sports with some friends once in a while. Back then I wasn't reading any books. Now I read 100 books a year or listen to audiobooks. I listen to over 100 books a year. I have a life savings. I have retirement accounts. I speak for a living. I create videos like this all day long. And what changed is there was just a shift in me. I got tired of losing. Like I got fed up of being at the station where I was at, and I maybe didn't have the social skills or the resources yet, but I knew always deep down that there was something else that I had to offer the world or give to the world. And that was being a selfish person, not just to my wife and other people, but I was being selfish because I was too scared to either tap into it, try to find it, or to let it out, or like to present it to the world. And so when I say return on investment, you guys, I'm talking about the people that you've met in your life that have invested into you. What have you given them in return? Does that make sense? And so the question came in is how did I make it happen? I don't know how I did all of a sudden. It's a gradual thing. It didn't happen overnight. I slowly started to change my habits little by little. I stopped watching SoapNet, so goddamn much. And I started, reading books little by little. I started changing my social circle, surrounding myself with different groups of friends. I started watching people doing the things that I wanted to do. I started modeling really successful behavior. And even if I wasn't there yet, I could almost fake it till I make it. So I watch people who are great at speaking and I try to mimic that. I watch people who are great at coaching and I try to mimic that. I would read people who are great writers. I would just read what they put out and I try to okay, I see what they're doing. And I try to take little bits and pieces there and kind of mold it into my own style. And to get back to my point, when I say return on investment, I mean, my wife met me when I moved here. I've been here for 3 days. I had no job. I had no money. I had no prospects. I had no great social skills. I had no inner circle of people. I wasn't connected anywhere. I didn't really know anything. I could barely afford to buy her dinner when we went out on our first date. And I bring that up because, not to brag to you, but what she got back in return is a guy who public speaks. I've written books, I own businesses, and I do what I want to do for a living. I do what I want, I go where I want, I say what I want, I wear what I want to work, and that to me is success. And I'm giving back to other people. And so all I'm asking you guys is look at your life when you're going through stuff and see the people who've invested into you. They've invested their time into you. Probably people invested their money into. Your boss has, your coworkers have, your friends, your family. What are you giving them in return? And when you look at yourself in the mirror, I'm going to ask you guys, does your ambition far exceed your talents? So back in the day, the talent level that I had was exceeding my ambition. I wasn't really doing much with the gifts that I had. Like, we all have natural gifts. I don't have any real amazing innate ability other than probably like self-awareness and understanding like where my place is in the world. But all of you guys have some great amazing stuff inside you, whether you realize it or not. And just look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, am I doing the most with what I'm given? And back in the day I wasn't. And that's the switch that kind of flipped for me when I realized, okay, Jeremy, there's some really cool stuff you could be doing and there's people you could be helping, but you're being selfish right now. And so every single day I kind of try to live my life by, am I giving everybody who invests in me a major return on their investment? What I try to do with all our programs, all our people, even my friends, my family, whatever they invest into me, I try to give them 10 times back in return. I live my life by the saying, my ambitions will always exceed my talents. And that's what I would wish for you guys, if you could do the same thing every single day of your life. And so that's kind of my story from 8 years ago to now. Obviously there's a ton of stuff in there in between. Like, it hasn't been all smooth sailings. I've tried and failed a million different things in between there, and that's for another 10 videos or so. So hopefully that answers your question. That's what I mean by saying return on investment. And I would wish all of you guys do that in your personal life, your professional life, and everywhere in between. So that's the question for this week. Anything else you guys want to know about my story or getting a return on investment and things you do in your life, ask below. We'll be back next week with another amazing series for you guys. Enjoy.